Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it.
Howdy.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Good. Pretty good.
Busy weekend.
It
again.
was pretty crazy.
We're in the peak times.
Yes.
I think we were both at the Dunes Pavilion on different days, right?
Yeah, you were there Friday. I was there Saturday.
Yes.
And mine was probably top 10 of the best weddings I've ever done.
Oh, ever done. You texted me that night of best of the year.
It was best of the year,
yeah.
but I've been thinking about it more, and it's up there with the best I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
The best of the best. It had all the elements. Beautiful venue, beautiful couple, like super easy to work with couple. That's an element for me as a vendor. I'm like, haha, if they're very difficult to work with, that's not going to make the top wedding, you know.
Yeah, it's good when you go into the wedding feeling comfortable yourself.
They were really fun. They were easy to work with. They had great taste in music. They made very little asks. They gave me 2 timelines, one for if the ceremony was going to be outdoors, one for indoors, which was really nice because it was kind of a day of thing. We'll see. Yeah. And luckily the weather held out. During the ceremony, it was cold and windy, but it was fine. No rain. We had the ceremony on the rooftop there.
Oh, nice.
It was gorgeous.
I was curious where they did ceremony there, so I didn't know they did that.
Amazing vendor team was Old North for video,
Nice.
and then I found that out like later. And then Shane from can't remember his last name. He is amazing. Let me pull up his.
Yeah,
I worked with him many
Clemenson?
times.
Shane Clemenson?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. Shane Clemenson. Yeah. I always forget his last name, but he's phenomenal.
Yes, South African, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He
And
told me
kind
he
of a
did
bodybuilder.
like wildlife photos like for a while, and then moved here and started doing weddings. Yeah,
Super professional, great dude.
just good energy. Like
Yes.
really positive. Yeah.
Really easy to work with. Yeah. And then, we were working with the staff at the Dunes there, and they were phenomenal. And everything timeline was just perfect. They had 2 of their friends, which was their best person and their best man, do like speeches, which were fantastic and perfect and heartfelt and kept the tension. They were exactly what you wanted in a speech, and that they got people to feel things and get excited. And they were a gift to the couple. And then plus, both of them played keyboard and piano and sang for the first dance, which was fantastic. And it was a same-sex couple, and they couldn't decide on. They did a mashup of 2 songs. They couldn't decide on one song, so they each picked a song they liked, and they mashed it up into one. And the singer, is it Kelsey? Kira was phenomenal. I mean, she just had some pipes on her. They did a Alicia Keys song, and it was, she could belt it out. I got some
really
video of it. It was fantastic. And then, they did one mother-son dance, and then the grandmother of one of the grooms did a blessing, and it was spot on. She got a little speech with it. And it was kind of like a 1920s kind of theme, too. So everyone had kind of flapper dresses.
Cool.
It was like feathers all around on the dance floor. I was picking them
Nice.
up all night, and little flapper feathers and stuff. But just when we opened up the dance floor, it was an absolute rager. And I played mostly their songs with a few fillers that I knew would get us where we needed to go. And it's just bang, bang, bang. Just, oh my gosh. Everybody dancing, everybody singing. Everyone had an amazing time. And then the combined thing that was also cool was they're big Phillies fans. And the Phillies were playing in the National League Championship. And so I kept updating on the score on the mic. So every few songs, I'd be like, Phillies lead 4-0. Wow. Everyone's screaming.
That's funny.
And then the Phillies won during the last song. So I got to announce the last song.
That is great.
It was just, they tipped us. They were so incredible to work with.
It's 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. And just all the elements were there. And it was super easy, super fun. And it reminds you why you do it. And I was trying to explain to Cade, I was like, these don't happen. Like, this is one of the best ones I've ever done.
Oh, yeah. So Chum was with me on Friday, and he's like, I haven't seen a wedding like this yet. It was, I would say, like, I had a very similar experience. It was just, like, killer. Everything was so smooth. It was a longer day. We had the ceremony at a separate location, like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
So we kind of had like this big gap in between. But once we got to reception, everything went great. And it was just packed dance floor from the beginning to the end. Like I couldn't, just a sea of people. Like I couldn't even see anything.
Yeah.
And his mind was just blown. He's like, this is amazing. He's like, can this just be every time? Like I wish, but you know, for them to not even stop. And they were getting upset of like, I played like one slow song the entire night. And then the mom came up. She's like, from now on, the energy up here. And I was like, not a problem. And they didn't want to break. They just wanted to keep like, they
no
did
more
not
slows.
want any breaks.
We opened with one slow song, which I
Nice.
felt like it was kind of needed just to kind of get things going. But then it just went hard. And they didn't have that on their list. I just did Etta James at last, and it went hard from there.
So something that I talked to Chum about and then I realized, and why I think the Dunes Pavilion is a nice venue, especially for dance floors and stuff like that. So I was just at a concert last night, and it was kind of like a punk show. It was a bigger space, and the energy just is not as high as other shows I've been to, where it's a little more personal and a little smaller. Because there's all that space. You feel like you're seen. You feel like people are watching. This venue, it's kind of like a little skinnier, and between all the pillars, every person formed a group in between the pillars that went like throughout the room.
And they have the lines for both bars there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're by the bar. Everyone felt like they had privacy.
Yes.
Like no one, like I couldn't even see past the first like 30 people pretty much just because of how the layout was.
Yeah.
So I think like one of the reasons for success for us is because of just how personal it felt. And like everyone never felt like exposed. They just had their own little section. So,
Well, I had Janelle coordinator. I was like, make it dark here as possible. She turned off all the lights. We uplit the pillars on every side. So there's plenty of light. And it was just party time.
Yeah.
Party just, they went nuts. And even photo and video stayed later because we were just having such a phenomenal floor.
that's cool.
I posted a quick snap that Shane took of it. Like it was pretty awesome because it was just full of energy and vibrancy, and nobody was like, by the way, too, because it was a same-sex wedding, we had a lot of same-sex couples there and friends, and they were dressed to the nines. Like we had a lot of beautiful men and like full of energy, full of dance, full of love. Like it was fun. Like everybody was dressed. I was underdressed. And I was like, I should have worn a suit.
I like when
knew
people
I should have worn
really
a suit.
dress up. It's always fun to see.
It was really fun, and they were ready to have fun. I mean, just everybody. They also, with their timeline, they did, when everyone arrived, they did it right. They had a cocktail hour. It was like a 45-minute cocktail hour. So people were getting drinks, hanging out, hors d'oeuvres. Ceremony, real quick on the roof. I mean, no processionals. They were ready to go. Everyone came and sat. They just started the ceremony, and they just had one exit song. They did their own vows, which were really funny and really heartfelt and very sweet. And then they exited out, and everybody went back downstairs. Then another kind of cocktail hour. No introduction. They cut out all the frills. They went right after the cocktail hour. They went into their first dance.
nice.
Then they did dinner. Then after dinner, they did a cake cutting and then speeches and then dance floor. And they just party the rest of the night. They cut out all the excess. That was the other thing that kind of made it worthwhile. But I think you're right. The venue also lends itself layout-wise. I actually set up near the wall, the windows. I moved my setup.
Oh, interesting.
Because I was like, for speeches, and because they're doing a first dance and there's live performers, I want everybody to hear it.
Yeah.
And so I did the V's on the pillars with the speakers and then turned them in for dancing. And it was perfect and phenomenal. We had my booth on the side.
Nice.
And then I even asked the couple, is there anything we should change? And they had like, can we tear down the dance floor light until it's time to dance? Should we just moved it out of the way?
Yeah.
So it wasn't any photos. They weren't looking at it as guests were arriving. And then we just set it up for dance floor, and it just was a party.
That's great.
Just full of light and love and just rage. I mean, it was awesome.
That's really awesome.
So Friday night, I had I was supposed to be a wedding, but then for whatever reason, the couple called off the wedding. And then the father of the groom, to kind of salvage some of the money spent on the wedding, was like, well, I'll just throw a party for myself for turning 60. So we did a 60th birthday, and they hired a comedian. And they wanted him to be, apparently like the father of the groom is kind of a partier and kind of he likes to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they hired somebody, a comedian, to roast him. And let me tell you, that did not go well.
Ooh, okay.
And it damn near ruined the night.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Everything was going great. He had a marching band intro him,
Uh-huh.
and he's a Ohio State fan, so they did "Hang On, Sloopy." The marching band played a few more songs. They were fantastic. It was a really well organized, well executed, night.
Mm-hmm.
The birthday boy gave a good speech. We had a good dinner. Everyone's having a good time. And then the comedian goes on, and his first joke out the gate is makes a joke about this was supposed to be a wedding, and it's not, kind of. And then he just went all in. He just kept going on that hammer in that home, and didn't really roast the guy as much as he did about the
Interesting.
And it did not go well.
Yeah.
It was not well received. The first joke was fine because everybody was kind of already thinking it,
He just kind of moved past it.
and he did not move past it.
Because from what I know, talking to them, and I was really curious how that was going to go.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, I know they wanted the focus to be on him the most.
Yeah, it was more on the couple, and I think if it had been on him, it had been better.
How long did that go for?
So it was supposed to be like a 20-minute set. He cut it to like 10 or 15 because he could tell it wasn't going well. He tried a little crowd work. He tried some other jokes. He's a comedian. He's a professional comedian. He's really good. And I think he made nice afterwards and talked to them, apologized and stuff. But it kind of leads me to a topic. Sometimes when people purchase things, they don't really understand what they're purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that all the time in DJing, but also with other vendors and other things we see at weddings. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of analyze, talk about a little bit. Because to me, the main issue was, I think the groom's dad, he'd probably handle if they roasted him a little bit. But even he tried to roast him a little bit. And by then, the people were turned off. They didn't want...
Yeah.
You don't want comedy anymore, Luckily, we threw a great dance party rest of the night. It ended up fine, I think. And they wished he would have gone harder on the birthday boy, but to me it was so funny and awkward as well at the same time to see two groups of people who kind of want a similar thing. They're like, this will be fun. It'll be a roast. It'll be good jokes, comedy, laughter. It'll be fun. This guy can handle it. And a comedian who's really seasoned at his craft, really good at crowd work, and really knows how to kind of find that line. And comedians notoriously will go over that line and then pull back, and that's part of what makes it funny is you're saying the thing you didn't expect they would say, but sometimes they say the thing that you do expect them to say. And we talked about it a little bit on the podcast last week with Jeff, who's a comedian as well, that there's a lot of similarities between that and dancing and DJing. But what was amazing to me is just how badly that was received. And it's okay, I think, in your mind when you book something, you're like, oh, this will be fine. And then they're like, you sure you want to be roasted? And like, is anything off limits? Can we do this? Can we? Apparently he talked to them, met with them, asked even the night of about that joke.
That was the plan. And initially she had asked me, and it was kind of asking like, hey, I know you're a DJ, but do you know this? But do you know a marching band? A lot of them I didn't know for all these things I wanted to book. It sounded really cool. But I was kind of like, oh, I know some comedians, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I was immediately thinking, I'm like, I feel like you need to know this person to roast them,
Yeah.
And
then
you hired him.
It's very clearly done out of love then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they know those inside things. They know the things the friends and family will know.
But all the guests there, they don't know this guy. And he's going and he's,
they immediately feel defensive of the situation and of the people that they're roasting.
It's kind of like the best man picking on the groom at the wedding.
Yes.
Like that can be funny. Also, that can go too far. I've seen
Correct.
It happen.
Yes.
But,
it's funny if a little people and it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
But if you go overboard, you can't come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you go too hard against, it's just not going to work. But that was what it was. And it really felt to me a situation where maybe some communications got crossed and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there was also like, hopefully it's a learning lesson for that comedian about like, like, is there anything at all that's I shouldn't joke about? What about this? I think he even brought up that fact, and people were not for it.
Yeah.
And he read that. He did read that and he did wrap up, But I was like, ooh, I had nothing to do with this. I did not book that comedian. I have not,
Yeah.
This is he used my microphone. That's about it. So, and I introduced him, but it was a nice guy, professional guy, but definitely brought some comedy that they didn't want.
Right.
And they weren't ready for that. And they were buying, in my opinion, something they didn't really understand.
It's a tricky thing. And I already felt that right when she brought it up. I immediately felt like, I don't know how that's going to go. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
It sounds very unique, very exciting, but
yeah. Well, we did a one recently Comedy's always tough. We did one recently. It was a corporate party.
Yeah, I
and
know
they
what you're
had
talking
3
about.
comedians.
Yeah.
And again, it didn't really go the way they thought.
That because you brought comedy to a group of people that were not going to a comedy night. If you
Correct.
go to a comedy club, everyone's there for. I mean, obviously hecklers
Yes.
happen. You see those videos
Yes.
of people that, and it's like, why are you here? You're in
Yeah.
the wrong place if you're gonna like get upset about
Yeah.
you making jokes, whatever.
One of my favorite
know.
comedians, Nate Bargatze,
Yeah.
makes a joke about when you're not ready to see comedy and comedy happens, it sounds like a mean speech. It just sounds like a mean speech.
true.
And that's what it felt like. It felt like a mean speech about that person and about that situation, about the
Yeah.
couple, splitting up. And then it wasn't funny.
They felt attacked. Yeah.
They felt very attacked and everybody was very defensive. And then it doesn't matter what you say after that. You're now the enemy.
Right.
And so that was tough. So it came across as a mean speech. And I just think like I've had that happen before when people booked a DJ and I was like, people weren't really expecting to dance. And you were kind of like, what did you think was going to happen? Why did you? And it comes down to, I think they're buying something they don't understand.
Yeah.
A lot of corporate parties are like, well, yeah, let's book a DJ. That's what you do, right? But then they don't really look at, does any of our staff like to dance? Do they even agree on kind of music that should be good? We had somebody reach out recently, and they're like, "Oh, the DJ last year was terrible
I saw
because
that, yeah.
this DJ didn't really interact with the crowd or read the crowd well." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I can see how that'd be your experience, but I find it difficult that like that any DJ could do this well because you have a lot of different people at your company, and he's supposed to play to every single person." And play the exact song that every single person likes.
Yes.
And you don't alienate anybody, and everybody dances full floor all night.
Yes.
That's kind of what they're going for, and they just expect you to snap your fingers and make it happen.
That's not how it happens. You got to have the right crowd for it.
Yeah.
Same thing of the comedy thing we're saying. Like it's just
You're buying something you don't understand.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah. The other thing is, people also immediately forget that you're at work. You're with all of your work associates. The stakes are higher than you think. You're like, oh, it's a fun party. Yeah, nobody's going to get out of line because everyone's going to be talking about it forever, and they could lose their job or have major, So nobody's going to get too crazy or wild because they could lose their job. And second of all, they're not going to do anything embarrassing because they're going to be ridiculed by all their coworkers the rest of their time at that company.
yeah.
And so dancing, you're taking a social risk by dancing, and people don't take that into account. And so a lot of people don't dance because they're not, I don't feel like taking the social risk tonight.
And
It's not worth it. This isn't really my song. If I hear my exact song, then I'll go out there. But corporate parties, it's tough to get a good full floor all night because of that. Because if I dance too weird, they're going to be making fun of me forever.
Or they could think like, oh, they were drinking a lot. Or,
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Now,
I never really
can we
thought about
trust
that.
them with our books? Our accountant's dancing too hard or whatever, But the whole point is it's supposed to be a party. It's supposed to be a celebration and a thank you for the year of hard work.
Yes.
But they're like, oh, well, a DJ will bring out the party in everybody. Alcohol will bring out the party. It brings out the party in some people, and it brings out the people who want to dance will dance. But that's about it.
I think applying that to weddings too. I've had couples. I had a few that have asked me recently, what can you do if no one's dancing at the wedding? and I'm very honest. I'm like, if you are not inviting people that want to dance to the wedding, then there's not much I can do. Like the only thing I can do is provide good music, like mix it well, have a good energy that they feel comfortable being around me and on the dance floor. Because I'm near the dance floor. I want to make sure that like they see me and they're like, oh, he's having a good time. I can have a good time too. But outside of that, if they don't want to dance, that's on them. It's not on me. I can't force people to do anything. I can't say like, hey, get out here. And I tell people that like, it's also kind of a reverse psychology thing. If I tell people, if I go around, hey, get on the dance floor, everyone that kind of didn't want to dance definitely does not want to.
Now we hate you.
Yes.
And I'm not dancing.
It's like, yeah,
and I'm actually leaving early. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man.
But when people don't, I think a lot of people don't understand that. When people don't want to dance, there's limited things you can do about that. Because you're definitely playing other people's music, and you're hopefully, we don't make a lot of the mistakes that I think a lot of DJs make. That we're picking songs that typically are danceable. It's a dancing song. It's got a beat. It's got a rhythm to it. It's got a flow to it that people will dance to. That's mistake number one. Sometimes DJs will play a song, we're like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is a Gregorian chant or some weird, this is a very weird song. Everyone feels alienated and it's not danceable. And or it's way too slow or sleepy or just the energy's off on it. It's what's that one type of dubstep? It's wah, 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 it's just noise that people are not going to dance to for the most part. And the other mistake DJs make is like they play songs that for like either way too long or way too short. They don't mix those songs. So everyone's dancing, having fun, and then there's a stop and then new song. It's a huge like adjustment when you've got your body up to that, 150 beats or 40 beats per minute and you're dancing and you're feeling the rhythm or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden that you lose that and they're like, all right, I'm done. I guess I'm done working out. It's like when you're running and jogging and you have to stop at intersection to wait for cars.
You lost your momentum.
You lost your momentum.
Yeah.
That's exactly how dancing works because it's exercise.
Sometimes breaks do need to happen. We've talked about that.
Of course.
But it's like we will not try and slow you down if we feel like you don't need it. And that was honestly kind of what happened to my dance floor on Saturday. And it's like, it's always one thing that kind of makes you upset. Like we were having a good time. Whole day was going great. Like we kicked off the dance floor, got people out there. Big wedding. It was kind of a mix of we'd have like some people out, they'd shift, some people would socialize, other people would come back. But for like, we had like a 4-hour dance floor for the first like 2.5 hours. It was great. Like full dance for the whole time. And then, she wanted this like 10-minute Taylor Swift song to be played, which is fine. I was like, I'll do that. And I waited kind of later in the night, just to do it later in the night, kind of did that. From then on, it just killed everything. And we made it 7 minutes through and she's like, you can cut it. And I'm like, I cut it. I could not get anybody back. We lost like so much of the wedding. I was trying everything. And then at that point, she just kind of kept coming up. Can you play this song? I had to download it. It was some really obscure stuff. I didn't mind at that point because it was just, we were doing it, but I was playing it. And this guy was like upset I didn't have his song and I wasn't playing it or whatever, but I was playing all these like strange songs. So he took that as like, you're doing a bad job.
Now's my chance. Yeah.
And this is a good song. So he kept coming up to me and was like, what are you doing? He's like, this is terrible.
I have notes. You're not doing a good job, and I know how to do a good job, even though I don't do what you do for a living.
But and I couldn't explain to him, the person who hired me wanted to hear this music, so that's what I was prioritizing.
I just say that, sorry, you don't like this song, the bride picked it, or I'll just tell him, like...
He just walked away. I didn't even get the chance to explain. So from that point, he went across the room and this is kind of the wedding you talked about recently, and he was talking to people and pointing at me.
Yeah.
And then he eventually...
That guy's terrible at his job there.
He shook his head, put his coat on, and left.
Yeah, good.
And then I was just like...
He's not one of us. He's not on your team. You don't need him. That guy's night was ruined because you didn't play his song.
Yes.
Poor guy.
On a brighter note, we haven't done this in a while. I have a game, Mike.
Oh, okay.
If you would like to.
We haven't done a game in a while. I'm down for a game.
You were the contestant. So how many years have you been DJing now? About?
Well, my first wedding was in 2004. So a while.
Nice. I got a lot of experience.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and stick to the music that I think you know the best.
Full time for about 10 years.
This is a little nerdier towards probably DJs, but this is Guess That BPM. You have to guess it on the nose. I think you're going to do pretty good, but hotel room service. Pitbull.
Okay. Are these exact to like the decimal place?
I think if you can get within 2 BPM, then I'll
okay. The actual beat. It's not a.
I kind of want you to get right on it, but like that's the challenge because I think.
Okay, so I know it's like I want to say it's 128, but part of me wants to think it's like 128.1 or 128.6 or something.
So all these are on. So
okay.
They're not.
That's
they're
what I'm
not
saying.
like
Decimal.
a weird. Yeah, they're on that number exactly. It's a whole number.
I'm gonna say 127, 128 around that range.
That one's actually 130. That one's a trippy one.
Oh no, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Tricked me.
Yeah, by Usher.
That's 105.
Correct. Let's see. I kind of pop. I love it.
That's 126 beats per minute.
That is correct.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. Is that Montel Jordan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to say that's 101 or 103 beats per minute.
Final answer?
103.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The wobble.
96.
95.
95. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Ah.
Okay. Final one. I didn't write this down, but I'm trying to think of a trippy one that I know. Let's think. Oh, Tipsy. How about Tipsy?
Oh, that's gonna be a few more. I think that's a few less actually. That's gonna be like 94, 92, something like that.
I'll give you the average. It's 93.
93.
Yeah, you did pretty good. That was good.
So the reason I'm doing that range is because I usually can move the slider that much. So that's all that matters. If I get in a range of like, 8 or less, I can usually mix it and it's seamless.
This is just something I realized, and I was talking with Trump over the weekend, is like, I don't necessarily remember songs, but I remember BPM ranges.
Yes.
So I know like, in the 90s, and I can kind of focus on that.
Yes.
And just like bang those out.
It's how DJs think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that matters for people who don't understand is, when you're playing a song, if you think of just a band and a drummer, and the drummer is keeping the time of the music, and they're doing that by hitting the kick drum, the beat, boom, and that's keeping the time. If you're a James Brown fan, they did that a lot with the snare drum. But either way, and then rap music does some syncopated stuff too. The boom, 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 they'll goof it up a little bit. But the range matters because it's a different type of music.
Yes. Typically,
the 70s and the 80s and 90s is more hip hop kind of stuff. 100s to like 110s is more like pop and disco and that kind of stuff. And then 120s can be pop as well. It can be a lot of different stuff. And then when you get up to 128 and above, you're getting into like more like EDM or like house music, techno. Or you get into like the 190s, you're like drum and bass. It's like it's really fast.
And your body is matching that rhythm.
Yes.
Which that will change the energy. So I found that's why I kind of want to bring up BPM and why I wanted to like do that. Is because like those higher BPMs, like the 128 range, we can stay in that for a while. But I've been trying to be careful of not just doing like 10 songs around that range, because I can tell people get exhausted.
Yes.
But it's we can almost trick them. We can slow down without them thinking we could slow down. We can play songs that still feel high energy and feel good, but are actually slower.
Yeah,
like
by doing a different type of mix, and you're just dropping into hip hop or dropping into a sing along or dropping into a classic rock song that's also a sing along or whatever.
Yes.
And DJs love songs that you can have multi-purpose, and ideally multi-purpose where you can transition easily. I was just doing hip hop. Now I'm in an EDM song, and I'm going to go to a sing along classic rock song. But now I'm going to hit them like with the Motown sing along, and now I'm in disco, and now I'm back to hip hop or whatever. And ideally, you want to hop around because that keeps a lot of people. You want popular stuff that people know that they'll sing, that they're comfortable taking a social risk to.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is comfortable taking that same social risk because we all know the song.
Yes.
We all have positive memories with those songs. That's why similar songs get played at weddings. Because we're trying to get people dancing, and these are songs people have danced to in the past.
Right.
And so that's why DJs think about that. Of course, you want to always be expanding your library and finding new songs that hit and new ways to mix those songs that hit well. And that's part of the fun of the work. But the BPM really matters. And this is why when people come up and they're like, Hotel California, the Eagles, that's a great, slow, classic rock song. It can be a sing-along, but it's very slow. It's got a built-up, acoustic guitar or whatever.
Yes.
And it's super long. No. And the reason I wouldn't play that when I'm doing hip hop is I'm going to lose my energy. I'm going to lose my dance floor.
Yeah.
And it's going to kill everything that I've built. And once I kill it, it's hard to rebuild it. People will go home. People will get drinks. People are like, oh, that guy clearly doesn't want me to dance.
Yes.
So I'm not going to dance.
Yep.
People feel betrayed if you ruin the dance floor. I'm taking a social risk for this guy, and he just played a bad song. I'm not on his team anymore.
There's times where I feel like I'm mixing. I'm always kind of on thin ice. Like it's going great.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what can I do at any moment to mess this? And it's happened. And they'll just like, what are you doing? And it's like, it's one song, man.
Yeah.
And it's the worst of, and this is I love this excuse that you've given me of a song that you have to play, but you don't want to play. Just get on the mic and say, oh, this is a very special request.
Yes.
And then people know.
Yeah.
Wasn't
this
us.
One's dedicated to Aunt Birdie or whatever. Yeah.
The reason why we've expressed that we get upset about that too is, and what you're explaining is that we're like making a plan. It's almost like chess. Like I'm thinking when I play a song, I'm thinking of the next like 10, and I'm going and like, oh, how can I get into this zone?
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't want to just boom play that song. How can I get there?
Yeah.
Go on a little journey. And when that's interrupted, I have to make a new plan.
Yeah, it's like chess.
Reforming.
It's like chess, or like if you're making a master painting and you're painting a landscape and you're doing this color first, and there's another layer of another color and another color, and then you're going to slowly mix those. But if somebody's like, hey, why don't you have more pink? Because that's not what I'm working on right now. And that's totally not going to go with what I'm doing.
Yo, but people love Pink. It's gonna really. I'm
pretty sure. Yeah, that's what's happening when people come up and they request something that's totally out of sync with what the group is doing.
Yeah.
To me, it's always demonstrated by that. It's when there's no floor out there and we want people to dance, people won't come up and request music most of the time. 9 times out of 10, if you need people to dance and you want requests that'll get them dancing, they're not going to come up and give those. But if you got a full floor and people are having fun and dancing, they're going to come up and tell you how you're ruining the night and nobody's dancing.
Yeah.
And you know what'll really get them going? Okay. Besides the fact that everything behind you, everyone's already going, what will get them going? And it's always inevitably something that won't get them going or that person likes that no one else likes.
Yes.
And it's a very specific random artist that is not popular or is not anywhere in the mixable range that it's going to be a consequence if I cut out of this. We're doing Waka Flocka No Hands, and now we're doing Unchained Melody because the olds want their slow song, and it's 10:30 at night. I'm like, why are they still here? There's other slow songs that work great, and Unchained Melody I play earlier in the night.
Yes.
Not end of the night, not late when I'm partying. You got to let the party be the party.
Agreed.
That's a really interesting game. I think DJ is probably more like the beats per minute than.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't trying to keep it too long. I just wanted to see, because it's something I always think about, and I feel like I've internalized so many of these songs, but it just kind of hit me recently.
But that you're thinking in terms of ranges, in terms of eras and genres,
yes,
and ideally in terms of keys too, where they're complementary, where the mix doesn't feel so awkward. You're not shoehorning it in.
Mm-hmm.
It feels natural and it's fun, and it's appropriate for the crowd. That's why my wedding was so good, was the couple knew their crowd, their family, their friends. It was all songs that their family and friends love.
Yeah.
So they made my job super easy. And I just put in a few other ones that I knew they'd love as well that I could mix. They have this one up here at 120 and this other one here at 104, and I can need to get there.
Yeah.
I've got the perfect song that will get us there.
Yes.
And I won't lose energy. People are going to have a good time. People aren't going to ideally come up and request. Some guy did come up and was like, just keep coming with the Taylor. And so we dropped some more Taylor Swift. I did the Disco Lines version of Love Story, which is it's a 128 version of Love Story, and it's awesome.
That's cool.
We were both young, and it's a cool breakdown, and it makes that song less. It's still sing along, but it's more danceable because they've redrummed it and made it better and made it a more danceable version of that song. If not, that's a slow, sleepy kind of. I got tired of waiting. It's just like, so do I, because I'm waiting for the beat to drop so we can dance. There's a great chorus there.
When you get to that
Taylor
spot,
crushes it. She's an artist. She's a songwriter. But it's a harder sell.
Not all songs are made for weddings.
Correct. And that's become one of the most popular sing-alongs of the year.
Mm-hmm.
People want that at their wedding, especially because it references wedding and proposing and getting married. And Love Story is literally the name of the song.
Yeah.
So it's on point. But, same with Cruel Summer. I've been hitting that one hard. And I have a remix one of that, like a more hip hop one.
It's Taylor's year, man. We thought it was ours.
She's having a moment, so you got to respect it. But I'm telling you, the last 8 weddings I've done have been 10s. It's just been crush, because everything is in sync. I know what people want. I am confident on my mixing. It's tight, very tight. It's similar with comedians tell jokes. They have their timing down.
It's a flow.
Flow.
You're in your flow state.
You wait, and then the crowd laughs, and then you have another one and make them laugh more, and another one. And it's with dancing. I've got this one. They're gonna dance more.
I think it's a mix of you're so honed in this time of year, and I love the feeling of it. And it's also you have less stress and anxiety since you've been doing it consistently. That you have more patience, I think, and you don't feel rushed to get anywhere.
Yes,
you got the whole night.
That's right. You're very confident at that point in what you're doing. You've been crushing weddings all summer. And you're in the fall hits, and you're like, I'm just going to keep crushing. But then if you take a break, it's like with an athlete in training. You're like, I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
I'm out of DJ shape. Versus in the fall and winter, I'm just highly tuned.
Mm-hmm.
But the spring, I got to go back to spring training.
Yeah.
Start to
just get back in the groove.
But also the crowds, if you're alive and listening at all, you're aware of what people like and don't like for that year, that season.
Yeah.
I know Taylor songs go off big this year because she's having a moment. So I'm like, oh, here's another Taylor one. Pop punk's going off big. That's the kind of the theme. That's
last
the age.
hour. Yeah, it's going amazing.
That kind of thing. You know, a lot of people are doing like throwbacks. Like disco is really cool right now, especially with like new disco. Like Lizzo did some of that. Like different artists are doing disco beats, but doing modern takes on it. And then everybody's sampling. You know, they're sampling old stuff to bring it, to make it new. Like a Lil Boo thing. That was, we did that. That's a sample off Natalie Cole's song. It's really popular. I'm trying to think.
I've heard that.
You know Natalie Cole. It's
well, no, but that remix you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the anyway. But anyways, it's going big. It's a TikTok trend, and the people dance to it. And I had that during Cocktail. It's a perfect cocktail hour song. So, yeah. Have you noticed any trends or anything else that I'm missing? Anything that we're
my Saturday wedding, she had a lot of like, I feel like kind of like TikTok things that we ended up doing. Like with their intro song, we played this new Tyga song that he released.
Oh, how'd that go?
It's So Brazy, I think is what it is. But he's like using like the Under Pressure bass line.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting. But like, yeah, so they had like something, and they brought out like
the Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, so they were like, we're gonna ice our party. So they had like Smirnoff Ice, and then they were just like throwing them out to people. Oh, this was something I liked. Instead of doing a bouquet and gutter, they did a merch toss. So they had like koozies and T-shirts.
Oh, dude,
they
they
were
swag?
wedding themed. Yeah, and
That's cool.
We were on a stage, and they came up on the stage, and they were just like launching stuff out there for
wedding
guests.
hoodies.
So
Do a wedding hoodie.
I think
People
they
love
did
hoodies
and T-shirts.
Heck
It looked
yeah.
awesome though. So I loved that.
Or snapbacks, little cap. You know,
Still doing like something in that tradition, but it was unique to them. And then they did another one, which I hadn't seen this before, and she had kind of explained it to me. But I can't remember the name of the song off the top of my head, but it was for the mother-son dance. And it's like, the song is kind of like, she can have this dance now or whatever. So we faked it as like the bride and groom were doing another dance together after their first dance. So we did like first dance, father-daughter, and then they came back out. But then like 20 seconds of the song, that line happens, and then she like traded with the mom. It was kind of like a sweet moment. So
I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the most that I've seen. But I feel like we're going to see more of this as we're getting into like younger weddings, and then like those younger people are getting older. I mean, who knows? Like maybe at that point they're like, I'm done with TikTok. I don't want any. You know what I mean? Because like that changes over time.
Sure.
Like your relationship with social media. But I think we'll start seeing more of those like trends at weddings, especially with like introductions and stuff. And their intros were insane. They also did a contest, and I think they were like prized one of the bridal party. They didn't tell the bridal party it was a contest, and then they asked Chum like, "Can you be the judge?" And Chum's like, "Yeah, y'all do it. Y'all do it." So he's like, pressure's on, I guess. But I guess one of them, they had like this like dispenser that shot out fake money, and like so there was that, and then they like the person after them had like light up scooters that they rode on. So it was between like those two. And I think we did the one that was dispensing the money.
Fake money gun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, they just had a lot of fun kind of with their bridal party. And
it's a good attitude to have. A group of friends, everyone's partying. Let's make it a fun competition.
Yeah.
People go all out, they go a little harder then. Got to impress Chum.
I enjoy that though. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've noticed the trend of people doing like bride's team, groom's team. We do a song just for the bridesmaids and the bride's parents, and a song just for the groomsmen and the groom's parents.
I like that. I haven't heard that before.
I love selling it too. Like we did one of that on my 1014 wedding, which was absolutely beautiful. I think you were off last week, but we talked a little bit about that in the last podcast. But it was absolutely gorgeous wedding. But they did their bride's team, groom's team. But I was like, tonight we're making an ultra team, like a super team, super group, and that's because we're bringing these two, dominant teams from the East and West together. Mm-hmm. I try to sell it like that with a little less talk. But it went over well. People really enjoyed it.
Chum was telling me about you doing the cool kids club picture too at the end of the night.
Yeah, I got that from Arrested Sounds. They're the ones who taught me that.
Yeah,
that's a really cool thing.
Make them feel special for sticking around.
They are so good. Yes, and it's I don't do it all the time, especially because I don't want it to become a gimmick. I want it to become like these are cool kids.
Yeah,
like,
if
it's needed,
fits with
it
the
feels
moment.
right. Yeah, I don't do it every night. Especially because sometimes it's just like it's not needed. I'm just interrupting a good time.
That's kind of like my mic work. Like how much I interact with the crowd is if I can tell they don't really want to hear me, then I'm like, I'm going to do the music.
No problem.
I'm going to do a good job with that. But some people kind of want to be talked to. I've done a few of those.
Yeah,
and
I get on,
fun.
they're selling, and you're like, you go, you sing, and you do this, and
just cracking jokes with them. I love when you can do that.
Now just the ladies, yeah. Just generally making a good environment, atmosphere that's conducive to people taking some social risks, making some memories. But it never ceases to amaze me how much people don't get that at all. But why would they? They don't do what we do. They just want to hear their song, or they don't understand. Why are these DJs so mean?
No one's been to as many weddings as we've been to. It's just we have a different perspective on it.
It's so fun. I can't hear my song?
Ideally, we want all of you to be happy.
I don't see what's such the big deal. I was like, okay, well, you might ruin the wedding. You might ruin the fun, the party. People may not come back. They may not dance again, like Careless Whisper. They're never going to dance again if we play that song, because they were about to go anyways, and now's a good time.
Here's an excuse.
It's honestly, throwing a good dance floor is kind of like propositioning a woman. Like you're kind of like,
it's a little flirtatious.
Yes, it's a little flirtatious. Yeah. You have to set the mood. You got to be cool. If you're over eager, if you're desperate, they don't want to dance. They can. Yes. If you go ask them to dance, they're not into it.
Yes.
But if you're just like, be cool, just be cool, and you just continue to show up and continue to show that you care, suddenly you're the cool guy and you're in.
Yeah. Talk about your feelings, maybe.
Yes. Show a little vulnerability. A lot of humor goes a long way. Charm, likability. But dance floors, they don't respond well to force. They don't respond well to desperation at all.
This is way too similar. Yeah,
I know.
This is true. I guess a dance floor is like a relationship, really.
It's very similar to that. And it's just so funny. If you think of people making requests, they are like, they're the distraction. They're the other girl or the other guy. They're they're going to ruin it for you.
Yeah.
They're tempting you with their ways of, you got to play this song. And it's going to go badly. It's going to all blow up in your face. And you should have just,
me?
You should have just remained loyal to your dance floor.
Yeah.
The real similarities there is the social pressure of it. It's the social risk. And so, you got to read the room well and be likable and give the people what they want. Then you're fine. Be cool about it. Don't be showy. Don't show off.
I do like, you could have said it flirting. You said proposition a woman. Are we in the 1800s?
I don't know. I'm trying. What's the best way to?
Mike's been stuck in the
words
Old
I
West.
wanted to use are not podcast appropriate. So
flirting. We're flirting. Yeah.
No, we're proposition. I'm going to use that.
Proposition.
I'm going to use that from now on. Can I proposition you?
Ooh, I have swooned this dance floor. Sorry.
I've swooned. It is kind of like that, where it is like you're courting them. And, people like to be courted. They like to feel like you're interested and they're special and they're unique and you're important and you have some answers. You create a sense of mystery about yourself. But if you're talking constantly on the mic, there's no mystery.
Yeah. He's not a suitor.
This guy thinks he's cool. We get that. And he thinks his taste is the best. We get that, Generally, it's so funny. I almost never don't play a song. If somebody requests a song, the reason I don't play it has nothing to do with if I like the song or not. And it has nothing personally, There's a lot of songs I play all the time that I don't like. But I never am like, well, that's a stupid song. I'm not playing because it's stupid.
Yeah.
No, the reason I would think it was a stupid song is because everyone else won't like it.
Yeah.
And they put me in charge of making sure everybody's having a good time.
Agreed. Yeah, it's never a personal attack.
It's not. But they take it so personally, and they act like the reason I'm not playing is because of personal reasons.
It's been hard lately for me to, I don't know what it is, but my past 5 weddings, they have given me so much music, 100 songs.
Oh my.
And 70 do not plays. That it's been happening a lot. I don't know why, but it was just very particular. But honestly, what is nice is if they know their crowd well.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty much 90% of the time. It was they knew their crowd. I stuck to that list, no issues. And my mixing, the order I played it is what made it. But there was no problem there. But when guests are coming up and then they're asking me, hey, can you play the song? I do have an easy excuse, but they still don't really listen. When I'm like, hey, listen, they gave me 5 hours of music and we have 3 hours of dancing. And they gave me a bunch of music not to play. And that song is probably on that list, if we're being real. But, it is kind of a good excuse, but I'm just been like, I'm sorry. I just don't know if I can do it because I already have so much material that they are trusting me to play. So,
yeah. Yeah. And you have a job to do ultimately. And if you betray the couple, betray the dance floor, that will have consequences to the rest of the night and consequences on you.
Yeah.
This DJ's terrible. That guy told everybody you were terrible, and then I'm gone. He's not playing my song. This night is over. Rather, he could have been like, "Oh, this night really is not about me. It's about the bride and groom, and or whoever's getting married, and I can just try to have fun no matter what. Maybe this song is not my favorite song, and I'm not going to dance to it. Maybe I can go talk to some people. Maybe I can hang out, maybe grab a drink, enjoy some food."
And yeah, he didn't.
Sign the
it was
guest book.
Across the dance for him yelling, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I'm not gonna yell back.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be a little unprofessional.
Yeah, just a nice screaming match.
Yeah,
interrupting your dance floor.
so I just kind of shrugged and just.
He doesn't even have enough respect for you as a DJ to come talk to you in person. Just, this is bad. What a jerk. Like, what a terrible person. That's a bad person, like how he's treating.
Nothing I can do,
Right. No, I know you did the best you could, but like that person doesn't deserve their song to be played. And how they treat other people is very showing of who they are as a person. Their character is on trial here. And that's unfortunate. Because now it's a fun memory for you, and probably for some of the guests. Some of them remember that. A lot of them don't.
Yeah.
There's like so many of those things. And I'm like, oh, you're going to forgive me. You're not going to remember the DJ didn't play your song tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them request it and they forget, and they'll never come back. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
So the best, you ever do it where you do play it and they're like, this was my song. They like tell everybody.
Or you see them out there and they're going, and no one's
nuts,
like,
going crazy. They are so happy.
Yep.
Played their song.
And then you have to get out of it early. Yeah. Only one time that I did that, and then I got basically attacked.
Yeah.
So
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even words, just physical force, smacking my equipment.
So silly.
What a job. It's really crazy.
It really is. And hopefully as people are listening to these, they're recognizing more. They're like, oh, I never realized. But, that's kind of why we do it, is try to educate and help people to have the best wedding possible and to, show the amount of work that goes into these and how they can be successful, how to do that. So,
Yeah.
But that's all I got for this week.
Me too.
Yeah. DJ Insider Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
We'll see you on the dance floor.